Welcome to Sports Talk.
Welcome, I'm Nick.
And I'm Jackson.
From Top Notch Sports. Today we're going to be going over the Detroit Lions free agency frenzy, where we break down what we think that this team is going to do this upcoming free agency period, this upcoming offseason in general, and a little bit in the draft. Now, again, Detroit, you're in an interesting situation. Right now, you only have $9 million freed up. You got a draft coming up. That's the bright future ahead of you. I mean, trading Matthew Stafford gives you a lot of draft picks. Right now, you got Jared Goff eating a lot of your salary cap. So right now might not be the brightest, but the future is bright. But right now, we're going to talk about this season. So, Jackson, go ahead. Talk about the current state of this team.
Well, the current state of this team, like you said, they're in an awful spot. You got Jared Goff coming in. He's taking up most of that cap. You guys just did trade Matt Stafford for Jared Goff, which I'll just break that down real quick. I think it was a great trade for you guys in the long run. You got some first-round picks and another third-round pick. So that's going to help you guys in the long run, like Nick said. $9 million, you can't really bring in much with $9 million. But if you go look at their team, like if you go back and watch our what's it called, salary review video, you can look and you see that screen and who you can cut potentially and save money. A name they're expected to cut, Desmond Trufant, saved $6.2 million, so you got 6.2 of that $9 million. Another name is Nick Williams, defensive lineman. He saved another $4.7 million. And then Danny Shelton, another defensive lineman, is saved $4 million. So you're gradually going up. But again, this team, I mean, not a lot of people are going to want to come and play for Detroit. But if you go look at who you're losing, there's definitely some names. Like, there's Marvin Jones you're losing, and he probably isn't coming back. A name I would like to see you guys bring back, though, is your free safety, Daron Harmon. He played 99% of the snaps this season, so he's very familiar with the system. We have him, projected at a 3-year, $18 million deal, which would be a $6 million cap hit. I think that'd be money well spent right there. Another name is Romeo Okwara, your defensive end or your edge, His expected deal is a 3-year, $30.3 million deal. So you can possibly bring him back if he is interested in coming back to Detroit. I mean, there's really not a lot this team can do. I mean, you look at this team, they're going to have the 7th overall pick. There's a lot you can do with that 7th overall pick. Personally, what I would like to see this team do, maybe trade down. Trade down and get more draft picks. I mean, why not? You have so many draft picks going into 2022, which is next year's draft. So maybe you don't see anyone at 71. Maybe you like who you got at 7. Maybe Micah Parsons is there. Maybe you want to get another cornerback possibly with alongside Jeff Okudah, who you guys drafted last season with the 3rd overall pick. But if, say, you guys trade down, maybe you guys trade down to around maybe like 19, 18, 17, somewhere around there. And maybe you guys select like a guy like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah to fill that linebacker need for you guys, because your linebacking core is pretty weak. You got Jamie Collins you guys brought in last offseason, who knows a pretty solid addition for this team. And then you got Jelani Tave. I mean, probably isn't the guy you want playing middle linebacker for you guys. So maybe bring in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, build up that linebacker core, because I think honestly where the defense starts is the linebacker. You want a guy that's going to be all over the field, be a playmaker, get tackles for you guys. I mean, again, this team's not in a good spot. I think it's just going to come down to the draft.
Yeah, and let me go back to this. Last year, again, no knock to you Detroit Lions fans, but I wanted you to go out and draft a guy by the name of Isaiah Simmons to be that future coverage linebacker that could have been a huge impact maker, a huge difference maker for this team. Again, I'm not throwing shade at Jeff Okudah, but I wasn't a huge fan of Jeff Okudah. I think he'd be decent. I don't think he was anything special. And I think that you could have got Isaiah Simmons, who I felt like would have been special for this team. Now, you mentioned before that the safety is going to be familiar with the system. He's familiar with the people around him, not necessarily the system, because they're changing coaches. They're going from Matt Patricia to Dan Campbell. Totally different regime. We're going to wait and see. So Daron Harmon, yeah, he's going to be familiar with the people around him, although they are changing systems. One thing I want to mention is this. They're at $9 million. You mentioned a few names before. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it's Desmond Trufant, correct?
Yep.
Nick Williams, is he still there?
Pretty sure he's still there.
Danny Shelton, I'm pretty sure there's the other one.
Yep.
So, I mean, if they make these cuts, okay, they can save about $14.9 million. Add that on to the $9 million they currently have, that puts them around $23.9 million. Again, now they can go out and potentially sign some of the guys that you mentioned. A few of the guys that we mentioned before, Romeo Okwara, right? We said about $10 million. You didn't bring him back for 10. You got 23. If you make those cuts, you got what, 13.9 left after this, 13.8 after this, if you were to cut those three guys that we just mentioned. So that puts you down to $13 million. And Romeo Okwara, let me tell you something. This guy played phenomenally well for this team last season. Another guy I think you can bring back for pretty cheap isn't Everson Griffin. We're only projecting him to ask for about $4.5 million. Bring him back, right? So that puts you around $7-8 million. And last but not least, like you said, Deron Harmon, right? Bring him back for $6 million. So you can make those three signings, or re-signings, we should say, and get those three guys back on this organization who are all really good role pieces. Then again, like you mentioned, when we mentioned in our salary review video, we absolutely think that you guys should trade down. All right. Maybe you go and you get Micah Parsons. That's fine. But we feel like if you trade that 7th overall pick, which is right before the Carolina Panthers. So this pick is a huge quarterback pick. Somebody's going to want to draft a quarterback and they want to sneak right up before Carolina might. So this pick holds a lot of value, especially if you're New England, Washington, one of those teams. So you can trade that 7th overall pick for mid-first in this year's draft, probably a first round in next year's draft, and probably a 3rd round this upcoming season. So if you make this move, you trade down, maybe you lose out on Micah Parsons, which I know that might suck. But again, this team's not going to win this year. And that's why I like that you traded away Matthew Stafford, because you're not winning anytime soon. This needs to be built correctly through the future. And I think Dan Campbell can do that. So if I'm you guys, if I'm the Detroit Lions, you didn't franchise tag Kenny Golladay, okay? You're not bringing back Marvin Jones. That's understandable. But now you got to trade down and you got to acquire draft picks. So you trade down from the 7th pick to that mid-first rounder. You trade it to New England, Washington, one of those teams that want to go up and get a quarterback. And then you say, hey, we're going to draft the best linebacker available. I think that might be Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah if he's still there. Then you get next year's first round and you get a 3rd. In the 2nd round this year, then you got to target a wide receiver to have Jared Goff target. To throw the ball to. So look for someone like Amon-Ra St. Brown or one of those guys in those quality names. So you're going to have some big guys, some big taller receivers. Maybe you want to give them a 50-50 ball, jump ball kind of a guy. I think St. Brown could be that guy. And I don't know what else you guys can do. I cannot believe that you guys did not franchise tag Kenny Golladay. I highly question that decision. I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Swift. I'm a huge fan of TJ Hawkinson. He was one of my favorite tight ends ever coming out of the draft. I'm a huge fan of him, not only his blocking, but also his receiving, do both very well. And that's about all, fellas. This is going to be a hell of a rebuild, but here's the future for this team. So again, free agency, really it just comes down to bringing back some of those guys that we mentioned, Romeo Okwara, maybe Everson Griffin, Deron Harmon would be nice to bring back. You to make those 3 signings, that would be nice. Then you'll look at your team and you say this, well, in the 2022 NFL draft, you got your first rounder, you got the LA Rams first rounder, and hey, if you trade down, you got another first rounder. If you trade down this year from that 7th pick to like that 15 to 20, you'll have another first rounder next year. That puts you at 3 first rounders. I think that's huge. And hey, the 2023 draft, the 2023 NFL draft, you're going to have 2 first rounders, your first rounder and the LA Rams first rounder. So if you have 1 this year, okay, 3 next year, and 2 in 2023, the future is bright in Detroit. It's not going to be all pretty right now, but the future is bright. Guys, that's all. Jackson, what else do you got to say? Anything else?
This team, again, they're not going to be good. They're going to be complete. They're going to be not good. All right. They could be in play for the 1st overall pick going into 2022. Let's be honest here. But this team, it kind of reminds me, I'm going to kind of just switch over. It kind of reminds me just like the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're going to have every single 1st round draft pick if they play their cards right. If you go into 2022 and you make a trade, you trade down, you have 3 1st round picks. Now, you can do a lot with 3 1st round picks, and you got a 2nd, 2 thirds. A lot of talent comes in those mid rounds, plus the 3 1st round picks. Play your cards right, Detroit. It's going to be a tough rebuild, but it could be shorter than expected.
Yeah, no, I think so. I'm a big fan of Dan Campbell. I think he's going to install toughness back into the city of Detroit.
They're already tough.
They are. And this is what it needs to be, man. They are Motor City, Detroit football Lions. Guys, listen to what you guys think in the comment section below. I have a high hopes for the future of this organization. We'll see you guys soon. Peace. We are
built better.
See you guys soon. Peace.